Good Monday morning of the second week of Lent. Actually, this is very early in the morning. This is only about 4:30 or whatever it is. Yeah, it's 4:30. I've got behind on these these videos, so I naturally I panic. I'm the only guy who gets to the airport 3 to 5 hours early, thinking on a rush. Anyway, today's gospel is, boy, I take this one seriously. Okay, and I take them all, but you know what I mean? This is one that's got some punch to it. It's Luke, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Stop judging, and you'll not be judged. Stop condemning, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you. A good measure packed together, shaken down, and overflowing will be poured into your lap." But here's the kicker line: "For the measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you." Try it again. "For the measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you." That's a very powerful line. As you measure, so shall you be measured. Even if our Lord he's certainly not being legalistic now. It's not at all. It's actually a very, very true psychological claim. As you love, so shall you be loved. That's the truth. That's the truth. Or put it in, yes, I think that's right. How you measure, it's going to be measured back to you. Not because God does it, it's because life. In a way, I put it my way, you get what you pay for. If you're a very selfish person, I have my own way of saying these things. I say, you'll die alone. You'll die alone because no one will care. Because you have not given your heart to anyone else. Then in return, they could not give their heart to you. Hence, there are no tears. I think that is, you don't have to have physical tears. You have tears of the heart. When no one misses and never will ever miss you because you are absent. That's really horrible. It's a horrible truth. I hope in eternity God forgives. Because in life, very often, it's not that we don't want to forgive. There's no one there to forgive because you have been absent. You chose to be absent. That's the real truth in that. I'm sorry for it. You see it in anybody who's been in the pastoral. I better guarantee you any therapist would tell you this. You see how the virtues of the heart shape the destiny of a person. And when, in fact, the virtues of the heart turn out to be not virtuous, but vicious, vice-ridden, selfish, that's how they end up. They end up with only themselves alone, and no one cares. That's terrible. It's a terrible condemnation in life, in my view. You see, love is a giving away. Love is when you give away your heart to another. Not a calculation of return, but a generosity of spirit. When you give yourself to someone else, when what you care about is that person more than you. When you look into that other person, you don't see somebody who's useful for you, but someone to whom you want to give your heart. Someone who is the center of your existence, whom you literally adore. Okay? Not you don't adore yourself, you adore him or her. That they are the beauty and the good in their person that you yearn to be with, to be in communion with. I love that word, actually. It's the word we use for the Blessed Sacrament, to be in intimate communion, sharing a life. You can't share a life if all you're doing is holding on to your own. You see it, if all you're asking, what's in it for me? Frankly, you're a dead man walking. You're a dead man walking. You ask that question of the beloved, what's in it for me? You're going to get the answer, nothing. But if you ask the question, what's in it for you? You get the whole thing. See? If your concern is that person, the fulfillment of their happiness, They will be happy, but so will you, because they will love you back in return. As you judge, so shall you be judged. You see? As you love, so shall you be loved. That's simply the truth. Not entirely, but mostly. Sometimes, no matter how hard you love somebody, their selfishness is incapable of being broken. I've seen that. It's one of the saddest there. So you see that in marriage counseling, where you see someone who is generous in their love, but the person that they love is almost incapable because of their vices, not their psychology, but their vices, to receive the love in an active way by returning that love in an active way. They don't. They just, inside their own souls, are asking, what's in it for me? That's a horrible truth. That's a horrible truth. That's a fact. You know, as you judge, so shall you be judged. I don't mean by God. God is merciful. He's infinitely merciful. Life doesn't forgive that. As you sow, so shall you. You're going to get the weeds. You plant the seeds, you plant the weeds, you're going to get weeds back. You're not going to get corn. I'm not any good at that, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I think because of my pastoral life, I've seen it. The pastoral life, not preaching, but listening to the lives and being part of the lives of so many people over the last 50 plus years. And you see how generosity is enriching and how selfishness is impoverishing. Not to the other person, to oneself. In the end, you got nothing. You got nothing. Nothing. It's the horrible truth. And yet, you see, I'll show you an example of it in a way. When somebody who has loved well, not only are there tears upon their death, but I'm going to say this is a mouthful. The churches are full at their funeral. People come because they had shared in the goodness of your heart. That's the truth. You'll have 200 people there. They won't come to the grave. They come in gratitude for the love they felt in your heart for them. See? Somebody who's selfish. Somebody who has really been out for themselves. Churches are empty. They might have the immediate family, and that's it. Where are all the pals? Where are all the friends? Where were all those people you supposedly bummed around with? Where are they? They're not there. Because they never loved you, because you never loved them. You never loved anybody. So you got what you paid for, an empty church. That's sad. And if you think that's not true, you're wrong. It's true. Believe me. Believe me. I've been there and got the T-shirt. It's sad. It's a comment. You don't need a homily. The commentary, the homily is the empty church. One has to hope that in eternity, the generosity of God creates the community of love and forgiveness. The human community is not so generous. Or maybe simply tells you the truth. You got what you paid for. No more. Yeah. It's a powerful text today. The measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you. That's really, really true. If you live and you're generous, you receive vastly more than you ever gave. But you gave. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah. Anyway, just a reflection. Just a reflection this morning, and I hope you are off to a good morning this Monday morning of the second week of Lent. If Lent is worth anything, it's worth a time of reflection, okay? It's not a time to give up candy and cookies. We could, but it's a time of reflection to look into one's life and ask one basic question: have I loved well? And not lie to oneself in the process. Ask the question from the heart.